Well, this is up. I'm David Gura. Congressional Democrats pressing forward in their impeachment inquiry despite the White House's refusal to cooperate. A letter to House Democrats from the White House this week read, quote, "Your unprecedented actions have left the president with no choice in order to fulfill his duties to the American people, the Constitution, the executive branch, and all future occupants of the office of the presidency. President Trump and his administration cannot participate in your partisan and unconstitutional inquiry under these circumstances." Well, the president delivered a profanity-laced message during a Louisiana rally last night. His language and disavowal of the inquiry coming just a few hours after the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, vowed to hold President Trump accountable, calling him a potty mouth, reportedly in a call with Democratic lawmakers. We're joined now by one of the lawmakers who was on that call with Speaker Pelosi, member of the House Judiciary Committee, Tennessee Congressman Steve Cohen of Memphis, here with our panel in New York. Congressman Cohen, I tried with your colleague from New York a little earlier in the show to get some color on this phone call. Let me try again with you here, as he demurred a little bit. A big question going into this is, what does leadership say about what Republicans keep saying, that there should be a vote on impeachment? Apparently, according to my colleagues here at NBC News, that didn't come up during the course of the call. What do you say to those who say, just have a vote on this, let's get this moving and quiet down that criticism from the right?
Why don't we vote on whether you want the Nationals to win or the Cardinals to win? It's not Congress's business. It's not part of the rules. It's irrelevant. So, I mean, it's irrelevant. The Constitution leaves to the House the power of impeachment. The House makes the rules. The House follows procedures. There's no reason that we have to have a vote on the floor. And when we have a vote on the floor, and I believe we'll have a vote on the floor, it'll be on articles of impeachment, and they will pass with a goodly number of votes to spare, and Donald Trump will be impeached. And then it'll go to the Senate for a trial.
Exhale with us, if you would, after this long week. I want you to take stock of what's happened. Certainly the indictments of two of these Giuliani associates, the testimony that your colleagues heard in the skiff yesterday from this former current ambassador, former U.S. ambassador to Ukraine. Take a breath and tell us what happened. What changed over the course of this week?
Well, I think that Trump's going into the profanities hurts him in a large way, because that offends a lot of people. And it didn't seem to offend too many people in Minneapolis. It was shocking to see those people listen to that and applaud. But I think he's losing his grip on reality. I think he's getting desperate. I think he could go into a Howard Beale, Patty Chayefsky network rant at some point. I think we're seeing the man really unwind, and he's trying to take our government down. What his actions have been in expressing the fact that there shouldn't be, in essence, checks and balances, that the Congress does not have a right of oversight and to subpoena his records or anybody's had anything to do with him at all, whether executive or not, that executive privilege applies. These are not valid legal arguments, and it's making for a presidency that will be unlike anything the Constitution envisioned. The Constitution envisioned a strong legislature that would be a check and balance and a co-equal branch. Right now, Mitch McConnell's not doing that. And Donald Trump doesn't want Nancy Pelosi and the House Democrats and the House Republicans, too. You know, we've got to a point to where this shouldn't be about Democrat or Republican. It should be about supporting your oath of office. And your oath of office is being questioned because if you don't stand up to this president who's trying to make the executive of the only branch that matters, then you're not upholding your oath, and you know, you're contributing to the end of the history of the legislative body that you're a member of, and you should have some pride in and respect and stand up for.
Margay from the New York Times has a question for you, Congressman.
Thanks. Congressman, the president all but declared war this week on the impeachment inquiry and has been stonewalling subpoena requests from Democrats. You know, are you concerned that the president could essentially just run out the clock and not be held accountable? And what can be done about that?
Well, that's a concern I've had for a long time, and I still have that concern. You know, we had a win yesterday in the Court of Appeals, but that could be sent up to the full court, and then it could go to the Supreme Court. And one of the things that was said, and I won't say who said it, but it was said, and it was well posed, because the Supreme Court and Justice Roberts will really have the United States' Constitution in his and her hands to determine whether or not we continue as the government that our founding fathers created for us, with checks and balances and a system that works, and not having a monarch. We had a revolution for that reason. We are truly in scary times. It will go to the Supreme Court, partially to run out the clock and partially because Trump thinks that he'll have a 5-4 decision. I have faith in Justice John Roberts to make a decision that's good for this country and that's based on the law and based on tradition. I think that'll happen, but I'm certainly concerned about running up the clock. I'd like to see us use inherent contempt. It was brought up on the call. It was vaguely brought up. It wasn't pursued. There's not been a desire by the leadership to pursue inherent contempt, but we can do that. There are a Supreme Court case in the 1920s that said it was a valid power. It's within our rules, which is within the Constitution for oversight to be able to have contempt powers and subpoena people, and then inherent contempt is necessary. We need to use it, and I think we need to use it.
Congressman, I was reading your Twitter feed, and you characterized what happened here with these two men who were indicted as this whole situation getting greasier and greasier. I like the phrase. Is there a risk here at slipping if you get into too much of this stuff? Take us to that call yesterday. What did they say about the narrowness of this inquiry? Are you somebody who thinks it should be wider than it is at this point, beyond just that Ukraine call?
I thoroughly understand Speaker Pelosi's perspective and her logic, and she's a good leader. That we have an issue that unites the caucus, that unites the American people, and that points out some of the illegal behavior of this president that will result in his impeachment, that we need to focus on that. Now, I'm one that brought impeachment articles in November of 2017, and I think he's violated other areas, but we don't want to get off the subject and get areas where people can talk about this about Mueller and this about Trump Tower and this about he has a right to have his own businesses or not. I mean, there's so much with abuse of power and obstruction of justice. The Mueller report laid out obstruction of justice, but we want to stay on the Ukraine issue and his abuse of power, his violation of his congressional oath, and his imperiling this national security of our country by doing such.
Very quickly here, just have about 30 seconds. What's the vibe on the Judiciary Committee? You see Chairman Adam Schiff, the Intelligence Committee, taking the lead here. Has that at all sobered or sombered the atmosphere among judiciary as this inquiry proceeds?
Well, we know we will get the articles to come back to us for the final vote out of committee to send them to the floor, and that's something we're looking forward to and helping fashion those articles. And we hope they'll include obstruction of Congress as well as abuse of power.
Congressman Steve Cohen, thank you very much. The gentleman from Memphis joining us this morning. Appreciate the time.